Hey guys, it's Ash and it's Thursday again, obviously. So first up I'm going to show you my 5 favourite quotes that I've made, and then I'm going to do a tutorial on how to tie-dye clothes with food colouring. So hopefully that'll get like the interest for some of you and it'll be all good. Alright, so here's my first one. Reality. You know, all it's trying to do is make life harder. As long as you get back up, the fight will always have been worth it. He's my hero, but even he can't save me from my nightmares. Yeah, I've been with my man more than a year now and we don't have sex. Let's give it to the girls that can keep their boys interested without having to give up their B cards, because they're the real role models. Alright, so people actually got really worked up for that one. That quote was actually aimed at like girls that just get guys by having sex with them, and girlfriends, like proper girlfriends, like decent people, took it as like really defensive, which I can understand, but I'm just like trying to explain to you guys, don't take it that way, alright? That was aimed at the sluts of like everywhere. So cool, next one. Listen teacher, here's the thing. If the bell doesn't dismiss me, then the bell does not decide when I arrive. Boom woman, we out. Witty. It's just Twitter for emotional girls. Alright, so for my tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you how to tie-dye with food colouring. Alright, so first off, you're going to need white vinegar, water, a bucket of some sort, a stick of some sort if you don't have gloves, obviously food colouring, rubber bands, and your white item that you'll be tie-dyeing. Alright, so if you haven't got that, also if you don't have gloves, you are going to need a stick, because I did this about 2 days ago and my hands are still a little bit green. Okay, so I've only just got rid of that. You just might want to be careful. Okay, so first off, you're going to take your white item. You're better off using cotton. Is the worst thing to use. It's what I use this for. Just because it runs and it changes colour a bit, it also won't give you as many washes. Like it's going to wash out after about 8 washes probably. Okay, so you are better off using proper dye, but this is like the cheap stuff. This is food colouring. So first off, you're going to take, I'm sorry, you can't see. You're going to take your white item of clothing and you're going to dump it in vinegar. So that's in white vinegar. Okay, so you only need a little bit. So however much water you put in is however much vinegar you put in. So it's half and half. So I've only got enough in here to be able to dip my clothing item in. Alright, so that's all you do. You're just dipping your whole item in the vinegar. Your hands are going to smell like crap after this, just letting you know. So you are better off using gloves. I hate yuck. I'm going to use a stick because I don't want to do it straight up. Alright, so once that's completely submerged, you just let it soak for a couple of minutes. Alright, so once it's been submerged for a little while, you can get a plastic bag if you don't have gloves. I just do it with my hands to smell. Make sure there's no holes in it, because I've done this and it's like straight through. And just pull your item out and start squeezing out the vinegar. It's just supposed to be rinsed. I don't know what it does. I think it just holds the colour. And just start squeezing it out slowly. My hands just got all over that. You don't have to get it all out, but it's good to get like most of it out. You just keep squeezing it out slowly. Once you think you've got most of it out, alright, so the next thing you've got to do is you've got to tie knots into the actual item. Now you've got to use thick rubber bands, because thin ones, the actual ink leaks through and it's just pointless. So you're going to grab your white item and you're going to tie knots in it anywhere that you don't want the dye to be. So it's only not going to be on the actual bit, so you just tie them really tight. You do not want to let any water in, so you just got to think about that when you're doing it. You want to get every single white bit covered. So if that means you have to put 2 on, then put 2 on, because that is just going to let the ink leak right through. So something like that is how you're going to do it. Alright, you're going to try and make sure it goes straight through and most of the time that'll work the best. You want it to be as tight as possible. Like, I'm not going to be able to get that undone, I'm going to have to cut it, which is all good. Alright, so you got to do that all over the shorts. Now, different patterns are what causes it. If you want the circle, just the plain circle, you actually put your hand up in the middle of it, pull it up like that, squeeze it, and tie a knot. If you want the lines, you're going to roll it just so it doesn't overlap and put a rubber band there, and that'll just give you one long line. So just experiment with that until you've got heaps. Okay, so once you've got it, it should look something like that. Now, if you were going to do the full pants, you would have the whole thing done and submerged. I'm going to do half green and half blue, so I've only done half of it because I need something to hang there. Alright, so you have to make sure they're really tight, and if you don't trust them, put another rubber band on. You're better off having more there than not enough, okay? So this is what you got to do. You're going to have to, that was all water. You just fill it up until you can submerge it, till you can basically submerge the shorts in it. I use a whole thing of food colouring. The deeper the colour, the better it's going to look. So once you've poured all your food colouring into the bucket and all the water, you're just going to pretty much submerge your shorts in it too. Just make sure however far you want green or whatever colour you're using is submerged. And don't get your hands in there because they will turn green. I've done that. And if you have nails, I wouldn't advise you to do that because that's what I started with, right? I had pretty bloody lovely nails, and then this is the end product. Something in there so that it can't move. Now, this is what it's going to look like from inside. It's going to look like a big black goop, pretty much. I'm only leaving that top bit out because that bit's going to go blue. Cool? Alright. So I'll get back to you. You leave it in there overnight and you come back and get it out in the morning. Alright? So, bye guys. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, so you are now taking your shorts out of the bucket and putting it in a plastic bag. Now, you want to make sure that it's like really like rinsed out, like so all the water is pretty much gone from it, and it will take a while. Make sure again you use gloves because your hands will go green, and just put it in a plastic bag. And you're going to stick your plastic bag out somewhere that there's a lot of heat, not so that it'll melt, but just so that you know your actual thing is going to dry out a little bit. Alright, so obviously once you're done all that, all you've got to do is just cut the actual rubber bands off the item, and that's it. Now, I would actually show you the end result, but unfortunately mine was left too dry and was blown into our pool. So most of the actual colouring has washed out of it. It doesn't look too bad, to be honest. Like, it's not very dark in the actual video, but it's actually pretty dark here. But yeah, all the ink ran straight out of it into our pool, which is now pretty much got a little bit of green in it. So just to prove that it does work, here's the shirt that I did earlier with the same dye, same everything. That's all from my swimming carnival. But yeah, if you did do this or did try this, send me an email, which is coming up down below, showing me your tie-dye or a video response, anything like that. And yeah, I hope it works for you though. Just make sure, if you do wash them, make sure that you don't put it in a white item because it will eventually, it might dye that item the colour. Alright, so just be careful with that. Anyway, this is Thursday's edition of the Witty collab. Catch yous!